17 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome if you've just joined us on this Thursday edition of Today. Now, international borders are opening today, being the 1st of October. That's after 6 months of national lockdown. Travelers from high-risk countries are still barred from entering this country. Now, our reporters are up and about, checking out some entry points in and around Johannesburg, Cape Town, KwaZulu-Natal. Now, let's also find out what's happening at the border post at this hour. We've chosen the Golela border between the Kingdom of Swaziland and South Africa. Dasen Tatia, he's out there. Dasen, what's happening?
Well, Dan, we were here quite early this morning before that border post opened at 7 o'clock. Now, you'll remember that the Golela border post was one where there was still movement that was taking place, largely for goods to be transferred in and out of Eswatini. We've had fuel going through, food items, as well as clothing that have been making its way back and forth. But as you know, all leisure travel and any private travel had been restricted. That has now changed. We now have the movement of people back and forth. But there is a slight teething problem as we get into this new phase of movement between these border posts. And that problem is what you're seeing here next to me. It's the backlog of these vehicles, these trucks that are trying to get their goods into Eswatini. Now, they have been traveling all of this time. Many of the drivers that we've spoken to here have been going back and forth throughout the lockdown. And there was the regular screening process that was taking place, and they were able to move quite freely to conduct their business. But as of today, they are now telling me that there's a little bit of a challenge, and that is with the requirement of having a COVID-19 negative test result. Now, let me bring into the conversation John Kosa, one of the drivers that I was engaging with here. John, you said that you've been here since the early hours of this morning, but you haven't been able to take your truck in.
Yeah, I've been here this morning. To cross, I needed to have a certificate for COVID. And I don't have it, which means that I'm not going to cross without the certificate for COVID.
But that becomes a challenge for you, because what then do you do with your vehicle and the cargo that you have?
Yeah, this cargo, I'm going Mozambique. I'm going to offload it today and come back today. If it's possible, offload today. If I can't, I support to sleep. Yeah, but I'm very late now because I'm still here in South Africa side.
Let me clarify, have you done the test and you just don't have the results back, or do you still need to do the test?
I have done yesterday in Durban, but now I'm waiting my boss to send me results to show the officer police there and to cross to Swaziland side.
Okay. Yeah. So what is the plan then for now until you get your test results back?
What's the plan? Plan is just get a test and a cross, you offload and come back. We're doing that all time, 3 times a week. Yeah.
Do you think that are you expected to go through today? I mean, because you were saying to me that some of the drivers also need to have a physical form. They need to print it out, but they're not able to do that here.
Yeah, all of us, we have to carry that. If you don't have, you're not going to cross. Yeah, not going to cross.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, John Costa. And that is just one of the drivers that is experiencing that problem. That the last time I checked, the traffic that you're seeing here is running for about 1 kilometer or 2 down this road. Other than this truck, these trucks that you see here, the border post itself is actually fairly quiet, and that's because the majority of the traffic is stuck out here. There's very little leisure travel from what we can see, but that's as to be expected because it is one of those border posts that largely has commercial movement. Dan, I seem to have lost a line to you, but hopefully we can pick up this conversation a bit later again.
Thank you very much. Dasen Tata, the Golela border. One would assume that, of course, being day one, there'll be all sorts of complications. But I just have a question in my mind that it is day one, but those commercial trucks have been going through that border without COVID-19 certificates before. Maybe those authorities need to be a little bit flexible just for the day, for the transition. Partner?
Yeah, well, those are the problems there. Let's find out from Kailesh Kumalo. He's at the Musina border. Let's see what's happening there. Kaya, very good morning. I'm not sure if you heard the discussion Dan was just having with Desan there at the Colella border. How are things where you are? Are you seeing similar complications, or is it relatively quiet for now?
Well, quite a lot of complications here, especially because from the South African side, obviously, the border has been reopened, but from Zimbabwe, it doesn't seem to be the case. So obviously, this is having far-reaching implications for a lot of people. Some travelers have been making attempts to cross, and they've been turned away. And joining us now is one of the ladies. You know, oftentimes she commutes between South Africa and Zimbabwe. So fortunately, you were just telling me that from time to time you do commute between these two countries. Obviously, with the Zimbabwean side still closed, you know, it doesn't look good for you.
It doesn't look good. We can take like the border is still closed because you can't open another one is closed. You have to open all together same time. Because if it's closed that side, where can you pass when you are going to Zimbabwe side? It's the same like they didn't open the border. They're supposed to open both sides. Yeah, because there's no way to cross without passing through the border.
And just off air, you were telling me about the requirements that are needed if you want to pass through. Obviously, for some folks, it's quite a bit of a very expensive exercise.
Yeah, it's too expensive. Even if they say it's 200, but you can't manage to do things for 200 here, 200 that side, only for 72 hours. No, at least if they were saying for a period, maybe per month or 2 months was better, but not for 72 hours. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think so. Because what I see is there's no people who gonna come. As long as there's that saying you must use papers from doctors, I don't think it's going to work. Maybe those are not going to do it. It's only those businessmen or what, not all these people. And this border, if you see too much people with their crossing, it's not those people who have a lot of money. It's only people who can come to buy some stuffs to sell all those, a grocery to have at this Zimbabwe side.
And obviously, you were just talking about the challenges, you know, for example, if you use illegal means to come through, saying that, you know, there are lots of challenges because of crime as well.
Yeah, when you go by the bush, there's some guma there by the bush. You can't go with the money at the bush. So what we want to use the border straight. You have your passports. Then you wear your mask, you sanitize your hands, then you can manage to do what to cross. Because at the border it's safe. Anytime if you want to go home, you can go. But at the bush, you can't go at night. So that's another challenge which we are facing. We can't go by the bush. We want the border. But that one for saying go to doctor is too difficult for us. We can't manage to do that.
Okay, and maybe just before I let you go, Fortunate, you are a trader. How has it been for you?
What?
You sell stuff, so how has the business been?
Before lockdown was fine because there were a lot of people. But now during the lockdown, there were no business. Our business you can find for a lot of people. If there's no people, you can't sell anything because you are selling for the people. But if there's no people, you can't sell. There's no business.
Okay. Thank you so much then for your time, Fortunate. So that's one of the commuters between South Africa and Zimbabwe. You know that Musina is in a unique position. You know, it's about 15 kilometers away from this particular border. So a lot of people normally would cross just to go and buy grocery and then just, you know, cross back to Zimbabwe. So this is really having a knock-on effect on their businesses. Also, they're talking about the challenges of paying the steep fees. You know, you need to go to a doctor, get, you know, tested and stuff. So it's really going to be a massive challenge here.
And we didn't really think about those day-to-day lives and just what people actually need, Kaya. We were thinking about bigger business and, you know, just those big trucks going across. We didn't think about individual people. Well, thanks so much for that. Kailesh Kumalo will continue to monitor what's happening there at the Musina border this morning.